Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with another fabulous box of Telemann. My goodness, how many boxes of Telemann can we get? Now, you may recall that La Stagione Frankfurt, under Michael Schneider, did, or maybe whoever else it was, did a big box on CPO, this very same label, of Telemann's complete wind concerti. And there were quite a few of them. That was a lot of stuff. Was it 7 or 8 or 9 discs or something? Well, this is 6 discs. Here they are, containing his complete concerti for mixed instruments. The actual title here is the complete grand concertos for mixed instruments. What makes them grand? I have no idea. They sound like all of his other concertos. Well, they don't sound the same, but they're basically the same. And this is like, well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's about 30 and a bit concerti in this particular box, and they are equally splendid, and they are for some really nifty combinations of things. See, you have to remember, in the Baroque period, there was really no such thing as orchestration per se. The orchestra, the main orchestra, always consisted of strings and continuo, with maybe some oboes or something like that, playing along. That was the orchestra. Everything else was a soloist. It was the top part. And it didn't matter what that other thing was. It could be any instrument in the world, anything from a bassoon to a piccolo to a cello to a bass to anything, but anything that gets the tune tended to be a soloist. So orchestration in those days consisted of picking out your soloists. And it was not about, as it became in the classical period, blending and balancing, a mixed ensemble of winds, percussion, brass, whatever else, and strings. It was the strings and the continuo. They were the main entity, and everything else happened on top of that. There was a hierarchy. But within that hierarchy, oh my goodness, you could do some very interesting things. I want to just take these out and give you some samples, some ideas of what's in here. And actually, some fascinating things happen in this set historically as well, when you get to the end of Telemann's career. So, for example, here's disc 1, all right? What do we have? We have 2 trumpets, 2 oboes, and strings and continuo, right? So I'm just going to go with the soloist. 2 trumpets and 2 oboes. 2 flutes, oboe, and violin. Cello, 2 oboe d'amores. Oboes d'amore. Transverse flute, oboe d'amore, and viola d'amore. And that's like a big concerto, too. That's a 17-minute concerto. That's major, major stuff. It's beautiful. 2 recorders and 2 oboes and 2 violins. Recorder, viola da gamba, and orchestra and continuo. So there you go. When it says and orchestra, it usually means that there's like an oboe playing along with the violins. So that's number 1. Number 2, 2 solo violins and bassoon. Then we've got recorder and viola da gamba, 3 trumpets, timpani, and orchestra, 2 recorders, 2 oboes, 2 violins, and viola, solo violin, trumpet, and strings and people like that. Number 3, we've got 3 trumpets, timpani, 2 oboes, and then transverse flute and solo violin, 3 horns and solo violin, 2 oboes and solo violin, 2 transverse flutes, solo violin, and solo cello. This is a 21-minute concerto. Some of these are very substantial pieces. And Telemann was, the music is good stuff. It's really good stuff. It's endlessly inventive and creative, and it's so much fun to hear him orchestrate Baroque style, which is, by diddling the combinations of things on the top, the solo lines, how they intertwine and combine and do stuff. And he's fascinated by it. He loves his forces, loves his players. So here's number 4, oboe, violin. Then we have trumpet and 2 oboes. And then we have 2 horns, 2 violins, recorder, oboe, and 2 cellos. This is a 24-minute concerto. We're talking major symphonic length here. 2 recorders, 2 oboes, and 2 violins, and 2 transverse flutes and solo violin. So that's number 4. Number 5. I'm having so much fun doing this. I hope you're not bored. I just think this is fascinating. I really do. So sue me if I'm wrong. Okay, 2 horns and 2 flutes. And get this one. You ready for this one? This is called the Cricket Symphony. The Grillensinfonie. It's a cricket symphony. It's concerto in 9 parts. It's only 9 minutes and 20 seconds long, but it's amazing. You ready? Piccolo, transverse flute, oboe, chalumeau, which is a primitive clarinet, and strings and 2 double basses. Now, where does somebody come up with that combination? I mean, it's so intriguing. 2 oboes and bassoon for the next one, then trumpet for the next one. That's a sonata in D major for trumpet, strings, and continuo. And here we have solo violin, 2 transverse flutes, 2 oboes, 2 horns, timpani, and everybody else. And finally, in this last one, this is really interesting, volume 6, the first piece is called, it's one of Telemann's very last works, and it's called the Sinfonia Melodica. Isn't that interesting? For 2 oboes, bassoon, and strings. It has 7 movements. It only lasts 9 minutes and 52 seconds. It's really a dance suite of various types. Fascinating stuff. Sinfonia Melodica. We're moving on from the Baroque period. Remember, Telemann died in 1767. So he was around at the dawn of the classical period. And then we've got, 2 horns and 2 violins, and then 3 oboes and 3 violins. 2 oboes and bassoon, and last but not least, flute, violin, and cello. Now, I'm the kind of guy where I just look at the list and I say, yeah, I got to hear that. I just got to hear that because it's got to be really cool. And it really is. It's wonderful. The performances are terrific. The sonics are wonderful. It's a lovely box of 6 glorious CDs, which are available separately. You can do it in pieces, do it however you want. But listen to some of this stuff. It's just splendid, truly splendid. So, the Grand Concertos for Mixed Instruments with La Stagione, Frankfurt, under Michael Schneider on CPO. Wonderful stuff. Keep on listening, my friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.